Hey everybody, 43 inches, looks like that. Pretty wide dimension. Now I had a potential customer ask me how could he use the dashboard system to reliably and repeatedly rip an 8-foot sheet at 43 inches. He does a lot of closet built-ins and ends up using that dimension for large panels frequently. So normally you would think, oh, that's beyond the capacity of how we can set stops on the dashboard system. But this is a case of free your mind and the cuts will follow. Step one, remove the fences. Now, in order to maintain alignment of the guide rail brackets for crosscuts farther down the line, I'm just going to take off the part of this rear bracket that allows the rail to go up and down. I'm going to leave the rail attached. Lift the whole thing off, just carry this away. All right, so what I'm going to use to set the stop is a combination of the track star, the wingman, and the parallel guide on the wingman. So I'm going to use 2 of these. And in another case of not wanting to affect my alignment for crosscuts later, I'm going to swap the operative part of the track star with the landing pad and riser of the front guide rail bracket. All right, so we'll just take this off. Make sure we hold on to that knob. Replace it with this. And I'm just going to eyeball the height for the moment because I want top of the track star to be in plane or approximately with the outrigger. As long as it's not above, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit below. And install this track star over here. Where you put it is flexible. Now the wingman installs on the track star. You can see I've got identical sets of holes. I could put it here, here, or here. Let's just pick this end. And there's a threaded hole in the track star that will accept that. I'll just get that started, leave it a little bit loose until I bring in the next one. Get them both engaged, tighten those. Now that's ready to go. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make the rip setup on this side of the bench. And to do that, I'm just going to move one of these track stars over onto the end. And I know exactly where it's going to be because I've installed a dashboard slug here, having already aligned up the guide rail using the USBs on these track stars in the appropriate location just off the edge of the bench. I'll do the same thing on this end and just switch the track star from one side to the other. And now I'll move this one down for a little bit of dispersal on the support, and we'll set up on the other side. All right, now the rail just comes in over here. I am going to use the middle slot on both track stars to put these spiral dogs in. So I like to start with it a little bit tilted like this so I can easily see where I'm going and then just drop that in place. So now you can see I'm going to rip over here, and those are my stops, and those are very far away. So I have a lot of flexibility for wide widths of rips. All right, so now I'll set my dimension of 43 inches. I'm going to hook the tape over the splinter guard because that is the reference that I'm using. Make sure I have a straight line over to the cap on the parallel guide here. So I'm just going to look at it from above, pull the cap in so I can see it even with 43 inches, and then just tighten the knobs. That one is set. I've already set the other one. So now we're ready to cut this sheet. Of course, you could double check that on the other side here. Put your tape against the cap, Look down at the splinter guard. There I am at 43 inches. I'm going to do the same thing over here. On the nose, 43 inches. So we're ready to go. Okay, so I have this sheet of white melamine that was covering some other plywood that came in to the shop on a big truck. And it's a good example of something that needs to have the factory edge removed before we cut it to the final width, because it is kind of busted up and ugly. And so to do that, I am just going to have it hanging off the edge of these track stars and have the rail just freehand it, because that's realistic for removing a factory edge. And then I'll just spin it around, put that edge against the parallel guides and cut normally to get 43 inches. Always a lot of fun to maneuver in tight spaces. And that's kind of always been what I've had to do. I imagine it's a lot like where you are, working in small spaces. So in this case, I can just put it up against those stops, and the edge of this is hanging out over the track stars. So I can just grab this rail and just drop this down here. As long as I just take off, let's say a 1/4 inch, I can feel that I'm not going to cut the track stars. And so I can safely rip this, and let's make it clean. All right, factory edge removed. So I'll just stow the rail. And spin this around. Could be easier said than done. All right. Up against the parallel guides. Return the rail. Center slot. And it'll fire away. Now, one nice thing about this is my offcut did not fall on the floor, and I didn't have to manage it while I was cutting it. It's supported by the track stars. That's handy. Now, of course, proof's in the pudding, so let's take a look. I see 43 inches, and I'm going to bring the camera over in a moment when I can move it, because I'm the only one here, to show you 43 inches on the tape. Okay, set up the dramatic close shot here, put the tape measure on here, and look at that, 43 inches. Let's check the other end. Okay, here's the other end. 43. I'll take it.